Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing okay. I just froze for a second. I think I'm okay now. I shared a video from the Danny Jones channel. Has a biblical scholar on there, the one that won't answer the Genesis question for me. Well, I found out why he won't. He's um, part of the Church of the Latter-day Saints, Mormon. The Mormon temple in Utah is built on a Masonic temple, and they're one in the same. Even the parishioners of their community and their churches don't know the depth of the Zionism within their church, the actual Judaism within that whole thing. But it is the truth what I'm telling you. But I also was taught from day one, the beginning of my studies, that the Dead Sea Scrolls were forgeries, and a lot of the other ancient things that they say are ancient aren't, and they'll be able to date things. But there's proof out there that people are going to ignore and do ignore for their own gains, but the scholar will tell you about the proof and what it was. And if you listen into, I shared on my community and over on Facebook this biblical scholar and he's answering Dr. Hillman's question, Amon Hillman, whether or not question, Amon Hillman um, professes that Jesus was a trafficker, even a child one. So, but I haven't gotten that far into the video. Um, I have said over and over when people like Stephen Ben Danoon off of Israeli News Live is quoting stuff from Judaism and the Dead Sea Scrolls, that it's a part of the uh, agenda towards people. It's not, because they were forged to make them look ancient, to make certain laws within the church seem passable when they're not. And to change stories in our history, that things that are not true, that type of thing. That's why that was done, and there's proof out there that they were forged. So when you hear like Israeli News Live going back to Nag Hammadi and reading something, fragments out of a Dead Sea Scroll, listen to the reasons why they found they were forgeries. And it's pretty important. In fact, I would say 10 minutes into the video is when that comes up. Comes up pretty quickly in that video if you don't care to listen to the rest of it. But it's super, and to me, um, wanting to get down to the truth of everything for everybody, like we all want, just, there are holders of our history and migrations of people, and we just want the truth of all the things that were rearranged, and we have a right to our own history. The people in the world do, period. We're all related and we all had that right. So, to get down to these things, to the bottom of them. But like I say, when you hear people quoting out of these Dead Sea Scrolls, uh, you're being deceived, and they know they're deceiving you. This information has been out there that they were forgeries for a long time, you know? So just makes it look more fancy if they could say that their teachings and writings were in existence before somebody's. That wouldn't make any difference if it wasn't right anyway, to as far as per permitting murder and taking over other people's countries and deceiving people. there's no there doesn't need to be a book for all that. I don't care whose teachings came first. If you're not doing it right for other human beings and towards them, I don't care who you think you are. So, and um that's the truth right there, you know. So, and if you're a part of a club um or whatever that where it's like we'll overlook a dark aspect in another person so they will overlook the darkness in us. No, not that either. You know, you probably won't have a whole lot of friends, but they won't be deceivers. You know, it's a pretty important thing to understand when somebody's blatantly lying to you for their own achievements or that of their masters, because if you're actually, and it would be like masterfully, um like a sorcerer, if you're getting out there and you're professing love of all human beings, except if they know that you're not one of their brothers or sisters, that type of thing. Yeah. Or how about this? I hear this out of men with less testosterone. I love you in Christ. That's their new one. Then they can read, they'll be coming up with the book of Timothy and laying that on you pretty soon, too. But anyway, you'll get it. One of these days, people will get it. It's like, wow, this all was orchestrated just to keep people in check, keep you under control, you know. First, the Catholic Church says you can't remarry, and then they let you, and then they let you do this, and then and nobody can bless or damn you but God Himself. Um, or if somebody were given that from Him, but it's still from Him, you know. So ultimately, He's the only one that can like you or dislike you that really matters on this planet, you know. But anyway, the deceivers, that's what gets me. It's not anything else. People can do and say whatever they want, but when they're lying to people for their own gains, you know, it's just like a person that will not confront the two different conflicts in Genesis about the creation. Like I say, either Adam and Eve were made together or they weren't. Either the animals were made before Adam or they weren't. But you can't have it both ways. You can't tell two conflicting stories about those two issues. And there's probably more conflicts. Those are just two to point out about the situation. Two's enough, one's enough. If you have a conflict in the same book that's written by the same people, they had thinking problems when they didn't omit one, you know? It just, it's crazy. And then people just keep reading it like, that's the word. Well, which is it? Is it or isn't it? You know? That's all I want is the truth. And yeah, there are real scriptures of like the book of John and things that have been so changed. It doesn't tell the same story, you know? It's the truth. And like the Freemasons, all they really care about is the New Testament because that's where the code is. The whole thing's coded, but the code that's important right now for the book of Revelation is only in the new that's they focus on the New Testament, I should say. And I was thinking this morning before I saw that this Dr. Oh, let me see if I get his name here. McCullen something. McCullen. Dan McCullen, a biblical scholar and active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And, well, anyway, you can go on to see what he's done in his career and what would give him the credentials or the um, uh, knowledge to even comment on all of it, you know. So this morning I had seen, I do subscribe to him. This morning I thought, how lame, you won't talk about Genesis, but he had on there, are Oreo cookies satanic? Yeah, they got the stars on it, and then all the way around, what do you think? And I told Doug that, and he goes, what do you think the cream's made out of? I'm like, oh, I've never really been a super big fan, and I like chocolate, but there's always been something squeamish about them that they're just kind of yuck like that. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. Would you rather have a homemade chocolate chip cookie or an Oreo? I don't know. Maybe you'd rather have an Oreo. No, no. I don't know. But I know, like, for instance, companies that put in like flavor enhancers that are derived from aborted baby fetal cells, you know, which I like, used to like Nabisco's, Fig Newtons. I won't touch them because they're made by a company that is affiliated with Kraft and Lay's and PepsiCo, and there's a whole list of companies that are all with their geo-modified baloney. Ugh, that's just the nastiest thing. Doritos. Oh, that's horrible. Buy generic corn chips and eat them with salsa and cheese or whatever. But yeah, I used to love Doritos. In fact, when they first came out and I drank Pepsi, I would get and here's another company, I'll come with the poison. I would get Dorito, teenage, Doritos, Pepsi, and um, Captain Crunch. The Nestle Corporation is also a part of it. So I was really poisoning myself. No wonder. No wonder I married this person I did at that time. I was not. It was the food. It was the food. It had to have been, you know. I couldn't have been that stupid, you know. You ever been there? So yeah, there's, like, I saw a recipe for quick meatloaf. You take a box of I'll pull it up for you. As a matter of fact, I thought it sounded like a good idea for a quick meal when you want something besides hamburgers, you know. But Doug's probably right to check what's in the stuff first. But it is um, 1 box of stovetop, and I would just get generic anyway. 2 eggs, half a cup of ketchup, and a pound of ground beef. And that's your meatloaf. Hey, cool. Without chopping up onion or drying um, breadcrumbs, Doug writes back. Have to see what's in the stovetop stuffing. I give him a thumbs up. and I said I would buy generic anyway, just for a quick something different. Um, Bioengineered on a lot of the labels. Everything bugs me, he says. Oh, that's so gross. Because that cicada and cricket meal, it'll say powder. It's oh, I had the name of it up here when I was reporting on that dried cricket powder that they produce and sell out of Canada. That's in a lot of stuff like cheese puffs and Cheetos, and they're attacking my favorite food. Simply put, how dare them? Everything I like, and I'm healthier for it. So, yeah. But dang, just like 2 different times, Doug brought home Lay's potato chips. And I did put them outside for the animals, but I even felt bad doing that. It's like, yeah. I mean, I used to work in a Lefse factory, um, a tiny, tiny bit I did. It was sort of a bad situation. And we also made taco shells there. So, I mean, there's aside from frying the tortilla, which you can just buy corn tortillas. Oh, there used to be La Casa Coronado in, Nada, rather, in Minneapolis. And I go down there, they made the best salsa and the best corn tortillas. And so we go, when we made tacos, we'd go get their corn tortillas made fresh and some of their salsa or whatever, and yeah, good stuff. Or we'd just stop in there and have a meal. We did that a couple times in my childhood, like my mom and I. A lot of people think, oh, you had a nice childhood. That was after I had helped my mom deliver catalogs that were that thick, or phone books, and we would make extra money and then we'd be able to go spend it on stuff. We worked hard, anything. It seemed like, oh, if we went on a vacation or whatever, it's because we actually, well, both us kids worked our butts off, um, with actual jobs and things when we were quite young. So, anyway, we had more things than a lot of our contemporaries or our peers or the other kids in the neighborhood because they didn't work, you know? So, anyway, no, my life wasn't pleasant, and every minute I had to spend around that shit was getting painful, and I couldn't wait to get out of there. So, I didn't wait to get out of there, as a matter of fact. If you're new here, I divorced the Masons when I was 17. I tried to earlier, but the paperwork didn't go through as quickly as I wanted. So, yeah, anyway, I'm not going to sit there and like try to be hypnotized and poisoned and mind controlled by a bunch of satanic and freaks playing God, with the whole world, and say, oh, they're my family, or whatever. And people can say they change, people don't change, and as far as I'm concerned, and people can say, think, do whatever you want, but there's certain things in this world that are not forgivable, and I'm not forgiving them. And I don't feel one bit sorry for not being forgiven towards a bunch of bullshit, evil bullshit. I'm not forgiving it. No, I'm not. oh, it's the demon inside that person. No, you go yourself. These are adults that made some horrible decisions, even as far as even either murder or attempted murder and bad things in their lives and are into some very dark shit that I'm not forgiving that. No, I am not. So I'm not talking about, oh, um, like if Henry hurt my feelings or something, and then I'm gonna boo-hoo and not forgive him. No, I am not talking about that type of thing. Or even being cheated on or anything. Nothing in our immediate lives like stupid simple, like triangulation from a narcissist or whatever. Who cares? So what? Like you're the first one to invent that shit, you know? So, yeah. Or maybe you were. Yeah, well, hey. Yeah, okay. I guess yeah. But no, there to me, there's, you don't have to forgive people for everything they do. That's bullshit. Yeah, put it in God's hands, let it go, you know? But it's a lot easier to let go when you say, hey, you know what? That was really evil and dark, and I'm not forgiving you. If God wants me to, I put it in His hands. He'll put that in my heart. Some days I do, some days I don't. I guess I have to put it that way. The evil that's been done to me, it's like, well, yeah, you're sick people, but that doesn't mean I have to forgive you because you chose to be demonic. No, I don't forgive demons. We don't do that. And they are in the flesh. These are not people that have been possessed. These are the possession themselves in the flesh. They don't have a separate soul. Their soul is who they are. And that's what I'm not forgiving. So, and people can play their games all they want, say and do whatever you want. If you want to forgive evilness on this planet, go for it. You want to sympathize with the devil? Go for it. You get what you give. Or if you're going to defend the people that are good and true and honest and that type of thing, well, then you got a friend in me forever. And that's real, the most loyal thing you'll ever encounter, you know. So yeah, I would suggest everybody take a look at that Danny Jones interview with Dan McCollin. Um, super interesting. And for me, if it can help clear up some of the satanic influence that has been directed towards the scriptures and give us a better understanding of everything, that's all I want. That's all anybody should want is as much information on all of this, looking at it from, yeah, classical, and that too, when you're raised, yeah, reading the classics like Homer or Plato or, for instance, it does give you a different outlook on reading the scriptures because or, when you're going back in hundreds of years into literature, it gives you a better understanding of people's progression in life and how they spoke. Like to be able to read the King James and understand the uh, grammar and language in Old English, like Shakespeare, to be able to understand what that would mean, not just like these, those, they, you know. Um, but I mean, just the way things are worded sometimes almost sounds backwards. I don't know. But to have that understanding when you go to read scriptures, then you have a better understanding of the actual language and how people meant that saying at that time could be something entirely different. And that's what this scholar is explaining to people. It gives you a bigger insight on language, which is so important for the understanding of all that. So the more of us that are doing that type of thing out here, that's one of my passions. It's like I just find it so cool, and I'll never deny the truth. When I feel it in my heart, I just know it. And I hope everybody is like that. So, anyway. Oh, it's been a strange day. It was really hot out earlier. Now it looks like it's about to rain. I think it is. I don't know. Man, it's been so wet out there. Ferocious mosquitoes. Lucky there's a little breeze out today. That helps. I shared some music today over on my Facebook and in my community, just kind of the mood I was in this morning. I finally found the lyrics for White Lightning Wine, which was hard when I used to pull out my guitar and play different heart tunes for people. My favorite was Magic Man. Loved it. Um, but anyway, couldn't find the lyrics for a while, and I finally found them today. So I put them through for Doug because he's hard of hearing. So even if I played the album, I've got it, but he doesn't know. And even I think there is lyrics on my CD. There might be. I'm not sure, but if they are, they're tiny. Like it used to be on a cassette tape or whatever, too. They just have like a pamphlet you'd pull out and it'd be tiny. And I don't know if there is. Maybe there isn't, but he never knew the lyrics until today. He looks at them, and because she's singing all right at the end, he writes back all right. Because that's the mood I was in, just thinking about people that would try and use different things in my life, like money or position or whatever, even using my kids against me, whatever it was, to try and leverage my attitude in life or to try and change or sway some way I'm thinking because of fear of not having things go the family minded way that I desire. It's like, okay, yeah, go ahead, keep in me over and see what you get. That's fine. I never expected that a godless society would be loving and welcome to somebody that has that in their heart. So, in other words, just stands to reason. Consider the source. That the source, yeah. Consider the sorcerers. Yeah, I'm gonna consider you dumbasses every day. I do look at this hocus pocus bullshit that people practice like they really are regressed. And I know it's an ancient art, but you're still getting retarded using it. It's not necessary. It just isn't. It's just like, okay, here's a for instance, we're going to be building a greenhouse off the um, front of the house, like a day room, um, this fall. And we have some building materials we need for it, but we need more. And I put it out there in the ether, and I told Doug, just check, and it'll be there on Marketplace, just what we need. And I know it will be, because that's the way things work. You know, that's how it works. I don't have to hocus pocus to get what I need in my life, you know? I've told Doug this, and he knows this out of me. I could walk out of here with nothing, and in very little time do and go wherever I want with absolutely no means, no physical means of doing anything, and make shit happen for myself. That's how it works without magic. Now, when you do magic, you're going to, it's going to come out of your physical being. Your body and your soul will suffer for tapping into a dark art that does not belong to you and is not meant to be tampered with. But think what you want. Ultimately, that energy comes from God, and you're going to pay for using it. And Satan's the one who's going to make you pay. The very one who's giving you access to that he doesn't even own. Think on that last part I just said, because that's the truth of it right there. So people think they're playing, but it's you're flirting with disaster. That's a song by Molly Hatchet. Good song. So it's not a woman, it's a guy band, but um uh who was it? Took an axe. Oh, that was Lizzie Borden. Took an axe and gave her father 50 whacks, gave her, or wait, 40 whacks, gave her mother 41, and when she seen what she had done, she gave him like more or whatever, all that. But anyway, so yeah, Doug gave me a hatchet. It's an antique, and he wrote Lizzie on it. I said, thanks for the idea, but I really don't need it. I have my I have my baseball bat, if it gets real serious. That's enough. It's steel. That's all I need. If things were like, if there were, when I would let my little dog out and the coyotes were out in force, the wild dogs, if I had ever had to go out and beat them down to get her back in or whatever. Really, that's the only reason I would even consider going and thumping something in its head, you know. But yeah, it's not necessary, probably, you know. Normally they keep their distance, but if they're hungry in the middle of winter, yeah, they could be lurking around a tree and snag a kid or a dog or, whatever. Bear, wolf, coyote, whatever, pumas, you know, cougar, mountain lion, same thing, same animal. All right, everybody. I appreciate you joining me. Yeah, check out that biblical scholar. You won't be sorry. it's really cool to look into what words actually mean when people are um, still wanting just the truth out of language, and either we have gotten our heart or we don't. So it doesn't even matter who we talk to or where these conversations come in our lives. These are you're still going to be who you're going to be type of thing, no matter who's saying what. And but when there's actual physical proof of facts that things are forgeries and that type of thing, it deserves not to be ignored. It's important to be truthful with ourselves about all of it and everybody else. So it's a fact. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.